Good morning, Noel.
Good morning, Swamiji. How are you?
Good, good. How about you?
Oh, good. Yep, nice, and it's gorgeous outside. I feel bad for not going outside.
Right. Here also it is like that. Nice and gorgeous. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Let us start. Om Asatoma Sadgamayo Tamasoma Jyotirgamayo Mriturma Amritangamayo Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. The subject of my today's talk is Life and Teachings of Swami Vivekananda. We shall be celebrating Swami Vivekananda's birthday on Tuesday, that is on 25th. And it will be on YouTube, and you will be able to see in the evening at 7:30. So it is quite appropriate to talk about Swami Vivekananda, who is very important for us, and probably for many other persons also who are not following Vedanta or doesn't know even Vedanta. So let us walk through his life first. Then I shall address one issue which is very important in our present day, and how Swami Vivekananda has given some ideas, not ideas, but his sayings are more or less prophetic. So in that way, we can examine his sayings in that context. He was born in Kolkata, as you know, and in the year 1863 on 12th January. Though he was born in 12th January, we are celebrating his birthday on 23rd January. The reason is that we follow the lunar calendar. It is the tradition in India to observe the birthdays according to lunar calendars, because all other religious activities follow that. But definitely there are many persons who like to follow the English calendar, as it is called Gregorian calendar, which is according to that it comes to 12th of January. And at present that day has been earmarked in India as a youth day. There are different days, as you know, that you find that some days are designated as certain activities or in memory of just Martin Luther King's birthday. It was celebrated. In that way, days are marked, and in that way, Swami Vivekananda's birthday is earmarked as Youth Day, but it is not a holiday. It is mostly activities of youth, and in that way they celebrate. Schools are also not closed. They have celebrated Swami Vivekananda's birthday with some activities. So today we are celebrating his birthday according to lunar calendar. His father was an attorney at law, Vishwanath. His name was Vishwanath Datta. Mother was Bhuvaneshwari Devi. And we don't see that Vishwanath was as such a religious-minded people. Probably traditional things they followed, but not a specific follower of any religion or much interest in religion also. It is not mentioned in the biography of Swami Vivekananda in that way. But mother was very devout. She was a devotee of Lord Shiva. And not only that, she actually prayed for a son to Lord Shiva. For a long time, she was praying to have a son. There are several other issues. The issues means children that they were there, but she was longing for a son, so she prayed to Lord Shiva. And in those days, it was possible to arrange some worship in Lord Shiva's place, that means in Varanasi. So she had her own relative, and she asked her to do on her behalf worship of Lord Shiva in one of the temples, not the main temple of Vishwanath, but there is another smaller temple which is known as Bireshwar. There she was engaged by Mother Bhuvaneshwari Devi to perform worship on her behalf to have a son. It is not uncommon to pray to God for something. So she prayed to God for a son. And it is believed that because of the year Swami Vivekananda was born, his name was Narendranath. And of course, ultimately it became a shorter to Bile. That means from Bireshwar to Bile, like that, in remembrance of that. And from the very childhood, he was very active and sometimes mischievous, but he was good in studies in a sense. Probably he was not good in the school exams, but his wealth of knowledge was immense and his memory was really remarkable. So in that way, we see that throughout his school life, he studied very well, and ultimately, and at the same time, he was very enthusiastic in sports and games and also activities of youth. So he was a leader, and also he was fond of music. So all those talents, extra talents, that means other than studies, he had many other extracurricular activities he had gathered, and he was quite efficient and master of those things. Now also happened after the matriculation, which used to happen after 10th grade in those days. He entered into college. And then actually he became a little bit serious about religion, our spirituality, our philosophy. So he took the humanities course with philosophy as one of the subjects and studied very seriously with many questions to the professors, and not only professors, some of the well-known philosophers of his time also was in his mind. So he had the correspondence with one of them. that we see. And not only that, after studying those things, it became a question, and a question came to his mind. God is mentioned, and whether God exists or not, that became a very serious question in his mind that bothered him very much. So he started meeting different spiritual personalities. In those days, reputed spiritual personalities or expounders of scriptures were there, so he started meeting them, but none of them actually satisfied him. That means nobody gave an answer to his own satisfaction. So naturally, he was still searching. And it so happened that in his college, there was an English professor. His name was Professor Hastie. He was the principal of the college, of the Scottish Church College. It is still there, and it's quite a good college even now. That means many illustrious students study there, and many illustrious students also have studied there. Incidentally, as a diversion, Paramahansa Yogananda was also a student of that, and also had Bhakti Vedanta, the founder of ISKCON. He was also a student of that, though it was a Christian college, you know. They used to study Bible there. They teach probably even now, but that doesn't matter. As a part of their courses, they study, but they did not really convert students to Christianity. So in that way, they got education. At the same time, they kept their spiritual fervor alive. So Swami Vivekananda, at that time, Narendranath came to know about Sri Ramakrishna in the context of some spiritual experience, trance as it is called. Trance is a spiritual mood when one loses consciousness, outer consciousness, in deep meditation of in deep mystical experience. So Professor Hastie mentioned that if you want to see what is trance, you can go and meet Ramakrishna, who lives on the bank of the Ganges River in the temple of Dakshineshwar, Kali temple of Dakshineshwar. So he mentioned in the class, and Narendranath was very serious. So he took that point and actually had an opportunity of meeting him, not at Dakshineshwar, but in his neighborhood, that means where he lived. He used to visit, Sri Ramakrishna used to visit often. He did not know, but now he came to know that he is visiting a neighbor's house. So he went there and met him. Meeting was like this. The host who actually arranged that meeting for Sri Ramakrishna, he used to invite guests to have a holy company. Sri Ramakrishna used to talk, they had questions, so Sri Ramakrishna answered. And also there used to be singing of devotional songs. And the host actually invited Narendranath to sing some devotional songs because he was a good singer. And being a member of the Brahma Samaj, he used to sing in their congregation. So in that way, he was very well known during his time to be a good singer, young singer. So he was invited to sing, and Sri Ramakrishna was very much impressed by listening to his song. Then he asked him to meet him alone in Dakshineshwar Kali temple because Sri Ramakrishna thought that he has a good potentiality of spirituality. So then one day, out of that invitation or out of curiosity, Narendranath went and met Sri Ramakrishna, and Sri Ramakrishna immediately recognized through his spiritual insight that this is the person he was looking for the propagation of spirituality, or as a teacher of spirituality for the future generation. Because he himself was teaching, but his frail body was not really competent enough to continue that for a long time. So he was looking for a stout, strong, and energetic and talented person to continue his mission. So immediately he recognized him, and naturally there are some mystical insights also which coincided after observing Narendranath. Insight means that Sri Ramakrishna used to have many spiritual experiences, and he had a premonition that such and such person will come with such and such qualities, and he will be heir apparent. So in that way, when Narendranath came, he found that all the things are really matching. So in that way, he immediately accepted him, not only became just like a known person. So relationship was established, and Narendranath also was very much impressed because he has never seen such a person, and he had that burning question in his mind whether God can be seen, and nobody could answer appropriately to his satisfaction. So the same question when he asked Sri Ramakrishna, emphatically Sri Ramakrishna said, yes, God can be seen. And not only that, I see God more clearly than I see you. And further, if you practice discipline, you will be also be able to see God. So all those three things happened very quickly. And naturally, young boy, so he thought that probably these are pigment of the mind, and he did not pay much attention, but he did not really quit. Quit in a sense, that means he did not ignore him. He thought that, yes, it is the only place where I have found this answer. Let me verify, or let me watch, or let me go further, how far it is true. So in that way, in various ways, that Narendranath started testing or observing and questioning Sri Ramakrishna, and he was very much impressed by his life, and not only his purity and selfless love and all those spiritual qualities that is really mentioned in the scriptures. He was an embodiment of that. So it took some time for him to accept Sri Ramakrishna, that we see, because Sri Ramakrishna was an worshipper of Mother Kali, but with form. And he had the vision of Mother Kali, and in that way he was always engrossed in the thought of Mother Kali. So that was a contradiction for Narendranath. Being affiliated to Brahma Samaj, he was accustomed to thinking of God without form. So naturally there's a contradiction and conflict, but slowly we see that he got convinced about the existence of God with form also. And it happened in a dramatic way. The situation was like this, that Narendranath, after when he was in the undergraduate school, his father died, and his family was in a very dire situation because father did not leave any money for their survey. He had good earning, but he was very philanthropic also. He used to, do charities beyond his means. So he found that there was nothing left. So he immediately had to search for job and earn money and maintain the family. Family by that time has grown quite large. He had about, I think, 7 brothers and sisters. So naturally that was and mother. So it was a big burden on him. So he was looking for a job, but it was not happening. So frustrated, he came to Sri Ramakrishna and said that he talked to Mother Kali, why don't you pray for me so that I can get some job and get some food for my family. Sri Ramakrishna told that, well, I cannot really ask from my mother these things. But if you pray to Divine Mother, I assure you that she will listen to your prayer, and then you will be happy. Happy means that at least the problem will be solved. And then Sri Ramakrishna persuaded him to go to the Mother Kali's temple, but unfortunately 3 times he went, but he could not really utter these words. That means give me money or give me food or take care of my family. Instead, he prayed for divine knowledge and then devotion, constant vision, and all those spiritual things he prayed. It happened automatically beyond his it was beyond his expectation that he could not utter those things 3 times, material things. Then Sri Ramakrishna was also frustrated. That means what to do. So he just said that, well, there will be no dearth of ordinary food and clothing in your family. That means you somehow will survive. That much with that blessings he sent, he assured him. And then this situation actually turned the mind of Narendranath that God must be there in form. That means he has, Mother Kali must be there. Otherwise, how these things happen? Since then, actually, he accepted God with form. Not only that, he started learning devotional songs of Mother Kali and other aspects of God also. That was the turning point, and slowly, because of intimate teaching and all those things, we see when Sri Ramakrishna passed on, he gave responsibility of his disciples on him, because he was a very capable person. And some of the devotees were very young, 16 of them are very young. Sri Ramakrishna nurtured them for future monastic order. And ultimately, after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna, monastic order was established in a dilapidated house because they did not have money. In that way, a monastery was established and they started doing intense spiritual practices. Narayanath, of course, time to time had to take care of his family, and in that way, he divided his time, but he used to be there. And ultimately, we see that when it was, he was very serious about spiritual life. All of them took monastic vows, and then they started moving to different places of pilgrimage to do intense spiritual practices. And he also went out in the year, I think after 2 years of Sri Ramakrishna's passing away, he also went out for a pilgrimage. Sri Ramakrishna passed on in 1886. And they took monastic vows in 1887 around January. And then after some time, probably after a year or so, he, of course, by that time, others also have gone out for spiritual practices in different places. And that was an eye-opener for him. Eye-opener in a sense, that means Sri Ramakrishna has left him to teach spirituality. But when he went to the country, that means went to India on foot, actually, he did not have money, and also monastics like to travel without any belongings, that means money and such other things, and beg food. So the vows are there. So when he traveled throughout the length and breadth of India, he found that India is suffering in poverty. People are without education, without money, without food, without health, and it will be a mockery to teach a religion to these people. So after some time, he was really could not decide what to do, that means how to teach them, and whether it will be proper to teach them, those who do not really, who are struggling for survival. Then he meditated in at the end of India's southern point, which is known as Kanyakumari. There is a temple of Mother Goddess, Kanyakumari. So just on a stone in the ocean, a little just away from the mainland, he meditated for a long time and found a solution. Solution means that he thought, or he was convinced that it will be his duty to find out, succor for these poor people first, and then actually preach. For that, actually, he wanted to organize something which will be working for the upliftment of poor people. Then some suggestion came from friends that, well, he himself also tried to get some money from rich people, but it did not, it was not enough, or he was not very successful in that, because in those days, rich people were not very much concerned about poor people. It happens almost everywhere, but it was very serious. It was obviously seen, that means people are not really caring for poor people. So some well-wishers suggested that he may go to United States. At that time, there was a parliamentary religion being organized, and he can represent Hinduism. And rich people are there in United States. He can get some money. Bringing money back to India, he can start his work. That means he can fulfill his vision. With that expectation, he was sent to this country, and he came to this country, and we see that at the Parliament of Religion, which was held in Chicago in 1893 on 11th September. So he became instant celebrity by his what is called very enlightening speech, short speech, but it was very inspiring and enlightening. People never heard this type of speech earlier. And that was the beginning of his, what is called success, we can say. That means his raising the, what is called the flag of, or the preaching and such other things become very he became a very good preacher, and he was invited throughout the country to give the message of Vedanta. And what is some people who are really open-minded, they appreciated that. And in that way, he remained in this country for about 5 years. Of course, in between, he went to England twice to preach. And then ultimately, with some friends and some money, he came back to India. And India also, he got a great ovation, starting from Ceylon at that time. He alighted from the boat in Colombo. And from there, he started his ovation or reception and all those things, enormous. That means nobody has seen that type of what is called enthusiasm that he brought to India. Naturally, after his grand success in the West and also in India, he established this Ramakrishna Mission and then Ramakrishna Math for the to start his mission. So Ramakrishna Mission was established for the educational, medical, and relief purposes, and Math was established for the spiritual. That means for the study of the scriptures and study of the teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, and for training the novitiates and make new monks. So in that way, both were established, and he remained in this country for some time, and again went back in 1900 or came back to this country for about a year, and then he established the okay. Sorry for the interruption. Now, then of course he returned, and after some time, after establishing a few centers, and he was, because of his overwork, he actually became sick, and ultimately at the age of 39, he passed on in Belur, which by that time it was a well-established center. And in this country, especially when he came to San Francisco, he gave a very enlightening lecture in this Bay Area, which mostly, according to many scholars, is unique from the point of view of religion. That means understanding religion and Catholicity of religion. So this is actually, we see that Swami Vivekananda's a short life. And I would like to take a few. He has spoken extensively, so his all words, letters, and discussions are available, all recorded. That means which were recorded are all published in 12 volumes. There are volumes in English, and also they are translated in other languages. In that their volume, these volumes are available online also, free of cost. So we can easily get acquainted with his ideas and teachings and everything about him. And he's very thoroughly examined person in a sense. That means every aspect of his life, many aspects of his teachings have been studied and criticized or commented upon by learned persons as well as ordinary persons also. He's an inspiration for ordinary people like us. But he's also an inspiration of great personalities also, like Mahatma Gandhi, Netaji Subhash Bose, and in this country, Professor William James, like that. That means there are many persons who got inspiration by his teachings. So I would like to discuss a few of his teachings, which has been collected from his talks and in the context of religion. Now, I chose this because, as you know, that at present there is a trend in this country and probably in the whole world that people are really shunning religion. That means a religion has got a bad name, if you call it in that way. They believe that religion is really doing more harm than good. Some of, not all, but definitely some of them, and their percentage is increasing. In one place, there is a celebrated research organization, which is known as Pew Research Center. And they publish time to time their surveys. And in one of the surveys, they have said very recently, it is, I think, on December 14th, last month, about 3 in 10 US adults are now religiously unaffiliated. Unaffiliated means they profess that they do not believe in religion and they do not have any connection with religion. So that is a big number. That means it is in United States. In United States, people are in general. That means 30% are saying we find unaffiliated. So naturally, 70% have got certain type of affiliation. That is a very good number. But in other countries, especially in Western countries, in Europe and other countries, in Britain and other places, the percentage is much more. Those who say that we are unaffiliated to any religion. So that shows that importance of religion is decreasing, that people are not really finding interest or deriving any benefit from religion. So why it is like this? And whether religion really does not have any importance in our life. So in that context, a few of the Swami Vivekananda's sayings in a sense, that means portions of his talks may be very illuminating, because we definitely face, probably some of us have come from that what is called group also, that means unaffiliated group. Then actually somehow or other we have started believing in religion, and the type of religion that we believe we chose in that way also, there's immense possibility. But still there are, as we see, that 30% of the people are unaffiliated. So naturally we shall always encounter with people who do not have much faith in religion, or they don't like to talk about religion, or they will do mockery of religion. So naturally that type of persons are really increasing. So we need to understand about the importance of religion in humanity at large. So Swami Vivekananda has some reflections that has been collected. I have a small book which is known as Teachings of Swami Vivekananda, and it was published by Advaita Ashram. And I have the edition, which is 4th edition, 1964. I don't think it changes any much, but whatever is there is very valuable because they are selected appropriately. Now, what is the Swami Vivekananda has in many places talked about religion, not only Vedanta, definitely about Vedanta, but religion in general. And religion has got a bad reputation. That also Swami Vivekananda has examined and said that he has said in one place, now in my little experience, I have collected this knowledge that in spite of all the devilry that religion is blamed with, religion is not at all in fault. This is a very serious statement. That means we see that in the name of religion, people are doing devilry. Devilry means killing each other, and all sort of extremism is there. But in the name of religion, these things are happening. But Swami Vivekananda is saying that in spite of all those things, religion is not at fault. How it could be? So he's continuing. No religion ever persecuted men. No religion ever burnt witches. In ancient time, you see that in Christian religion, especially in Europe and other places, there are, that means witches used to be in the name of religion. That means people who are mystical or spiritual or have other world in mind, actually they are persecuted. So no religion ever burned witches. No religion ever did any of these things. What then incited people to do these things? Incited means not only incited, it is inciting also, and probably it will not end very soon. It is happening. His answer is this: politics, but never religion. And if such politics takes the name of religion, whose fault is that? So when religion and politics get mixed up, and in the name of religion, politics is practiced, then actually these things happen. Politics means, as you know, majority must be granted. That means some people gathered together and said, this is the thing that we want. So naturally, they started according to their own belief and faith, or whim, even if you call, they started preaching religion. And in that way, actually, this devilry has happened or happening or happens. That is the point. We have to be very careful about the ways Swami Vivekananda has said, or we have to figure out why this devilry is going on. It is not religion as such. The way religion is being applied for what is called in humanity in general, or in mass in general. So you cannot really inject, or you cannot really push religion to everybody. It does not happen in that way. Religion should be independent. It is a matter of choice. That means one should follow religion according to one's own choice, according to one's capacity. So in that way, religion has to be practiced. So that is the one important issue that Swami Vivekananda has addressed, that in the name of religion, what is called politics is politics takes the dominance, and in that way, all the negative things in the name of religion has come. Now let us see how religion is really immensely important for us. We cannot live without religion. We should not live with religion also. Now comes the question, can religion really accomplish anything? So if you give up religion, so what will happen? And whether with the help of religion, we can accomplish anything. That means it can have some positive effect on us. That means we can earn something or get something which will be beneficial for us. So his answer to his own question is, it can. It brings to man eternal life. Of course, eternal life does not mean that we shall live forever, but we can really eternal life in a sense that it gives eternal succor, because life is a contradiction. So all these contradictions of life can be solved with the help of religion only. Religion can only help. So he's saying, it has made man what he is and will make of this human animal a god. So religion only can change a mind, a brute, into God. That means we are human beings, but we have the option of becoming brute. Many of human beings have become brute, torturers and all those things. And also many of us have become God also. That means avatars, incarnations, they have been born, they are no less than God. So these two options are there. So one option is this: by religion, actually one can become God. That is what religion can do. Take religion from human society, and what will remain? Nothing but a forest of brutes. If religion is taken out, so naturally people will be hunting for each other, and what is called killing each other, or what is called stealing from each other, and in that way it will be a torturous society. Sense happiness is not the goal of humanity. This is very important to remember. We are always striking. That means all the societies, or our desire, what is called move around the welfare of the society, as we call in general. And it is actually sense happiness. That means well-being in general. That means food, drink, and enjoyment, different places, going to different places, music, and many other things are there for the senses that are quite enjoyable. And if that is the end of our life or end of the goal of our life, then actually we are really what is called, we shall not enjoy that, or we shall not get the best out of our life. Nothing but sense and happiness is not the goal of humanity. Wisdom is the goal of all life. That means knowledge. That means knowing things. As you know that animals have their senses and they remain satisfied. They are happy with the sense enjoyments. But even a person, human beings, actually, if he had satisfied with all food, all the food that good food that is there and all the sense enjoyments are there, still he remains unhappy. That means there's something which one lacks, and that is available only through knowledge, spiritual knowledge. We find that man enjoys his intellect more than an animal enjoys its senses. And we see that man enjoys his spiritual nature even more than his rational nature. Rational nature means intellectual nature. Like a scholar, always it is said that if you are a good scholar, so naturally another scholar will come with great reputation and power of arguments and all those things. So naturally you will not be a match, and then you will also suffer. That means you will feel that you are inferior, so that will really make you unhappy. So that is the point. He is saying that spiritual nature is more enjoyable or more superior to what is called rational nature. So the highest wisdom must be this spiritual knowledge. With this knowledge will come bliss. All these things of this world are but the shadows, the manifestations in the third or fourth degree of the real knowledge and bliss. So the bliss that will come through our knowledge and practice of the discipline and all those things, that knowledge if we get, so we shall experience the bliss. It is an experience. What we are experiencing, the sense enjoyments or intellectual enjoyment. Then there is another part of the enjoyment, which is bliss, that is, which is beyond intellect and mind and senses. So that actually is supplied by religion. That is why religion is important and it should survive. And ultimately, that means after roaming here and there and going to many places and having all the experiences of our lives, ultimately we feel enough is enough. Let us take to religion. Then in the same context, he has said that we have many religions. So that is definitely in this world we see, and the scenario is like that, they are in conflict with each other. So Swami Vivekananda is saying that why this conflict is there and what should be our approach. We have to understand why this conflict exists and how to find a solution out of this conflict. The proof of one religion depends on the proof of all the rest. So all the rest means, that means all the rest of the religion. If my religion is true, he will say, your religion also must be true. So what is the logic? In what way we can come to that conclusion? For instance, if I have 6 fingers and no one else has, you may well say that is abnormal. So if something is very special, then actually that will be abnormal because it is not seen in others. So 6 fingers is uncommon, 5 fingers are common. The same reasoning may be applied to the argument that only one religion is true and all others false. So 6 fingers is only truth and all others, 5 fingers are wrong. So it is something like that. My religion is true and all other religions are false. This argument actually appears like that similar argument, but this argument actually cannot hold on. That is the point. One religion only, like one set of 6 fingers in the world, would be unnatural. That is the point. If it is special, if you claim that my religion is special, actually that will be unnatural. It should be common with others. There should be some basic similarity. We see therefore that if one religion is true, all others must be true. There are differences in non-essentials. It is not that in every aspect they are similar, but definitely according to time, circumstances, nationality, region, weather, and there are many variations. So those variations have to be taken into account for the non-essentials. But the base is the same. There are differences in non-essentials, but in essentials, they are all one. If my 5 fingers are true, they prove that your 5 fingers are true too. So religion is based on mystical experience, as we know. Somebody had this mystical experience which is beyond senses and mind. So all religions are actually based on that. Some person had that type of experience and they asked others to follow that, experience that. And in that way, we see that religion has been established. So it is based on the spiritual experiences of certain persons. And those experiences are really same. Then another aspect is there about religion. Is religion to justify itself by the discovery of reason? So what is the difference between how actually religion differs from any other things which stands the reason, especially say science? In science, we know just, the virus is there, so there is scientists are there, they're finding, all the scientists are finding the same thing, and in that way we have to believe that this is there. So all the scientific truths, all the stands to reason and verifiable. That is very important. And in case of religion, what is the scenario that needs to be examined? That means if you have to believe, so just like science, if you have an area can prove its existence, that means what religion says it can be proved, then actually there is a good point that we have to believe in religion also. So that point is being what is called taken up in this saying. Is a religion to justify itself by discoveries of reason through which every other concrete science justifies itself? So it is a what is called some basic similarity between science and religion is being explored. Whether, because science, as we know, stands to reason, otherwise it will not stand. And in the same way, whether religion can stands to reason. Are the same methods of investigation which we apply to sciences and knowledge outside to be applied to the science of religion? For scientific exploration, we have experiments which are external, and in that way, many people do the same experiment and they come to the same conclusion. So Swami Vivekananda is saying whether religion also can be experimented in that way, the way science have embraced experiments. So that is the point. So let me repeat. Are the same methods of investigation, that means the methods of investigation that is applied to science, which we apply to sciences and knowledge outside. Outside means which can be perceived through our senses. That means sight, sound, taste, or feeling, and all those things are the parameters. Whether they can be applied to the science of religion. So whether it is possible to apply to religion. His answer is this. In my opinion, this must be so. So it is a very emphatic, what is called answer. He's saying, yes, religion also can be experimented as science is experimented. Scientific truths are experimented in the outside world. And I am also of the opinion that the sooner it is done, the better. That is a challenge also. That means if the religious truths need to be experimented, and not only that, as sooner it is done, it is better. That means just like science, actually he's saying that by experimentation, religious truths also can be discovered or verified. It is a great challenge because he himself has seen with Ramakrishna and himself had experience. So there is no what is called iota of doubt in his mind that by experimentation, the religious truths can be established and verified. So emphatically he's saying, if a religion is destroyed by such investigations, it was then all the time useless, unearthed superstition, and the sooner it goes, the better. So he is saying that if some religious belief found wanting in the verification, that should be discarded. It must be a superstition. So in that way, some aspects are there. As Ramakrishna has said, religion is a mixture of sand and sugar. So sand portion actually discarded, only sugar portion we have to accept. So in the same way, Swami Vivekananda is saying that yes, if some religious beliefs are found wanting in after experimentation or after cannot stand the verification, they should be discarded. I am thoroughly convinced that it is that its destruction would be the best thing that could happen. That means the superstition and such other things which cannot be, which cannot stand the experimentation and cannot be claimed to be truth. They should be given up. So that should be good for the religion also. All that is dross will be taken off, no doubt, but the essential powers of religion will emerge triumphant out of this investigation. So ultimately, some of the truths, as well as Ramakrishna's sugar, by experimentation, it can be found that they are true. So that will be the base of the religion. That means that is the best of the religion, and they will survive. In that way, survival of religion also is enhanced by experimentation. That means that by its practice of different truths that has been said. Not only will it be made scientific at least as any of the conclusions of physics or chemistry, but will have greater strength because physics or chemistry has no internal mandate to vouch for its truth, which religion has. So actually, religion is truer than the truth of physics and chemistry, he's saying. He's claiming in that way. Physics and chemistry will be failing at some point. That means there are certain truths that actually in verification will be found they're wanting. It is we know that when scientific experiments become finer and finer, we really what is called correct the previous truths. Just like Newton's law of gravitation has been it is still existing, but definitely it has some wanting. That means there are certain areas where actually it cannot be applied. So naturally, we have this theory of relativity and such other things are there, which have fine-tuned it. So in that way, scientific truth are subject to what is called, when it is thoroughly investigated, there will be some corrections in that. It is obvious. So we cannot say that it is as true as the religious truths, because religious truths are unique. If somebody goes to what is called Nirvikalpa Samadhi, as Ramakrishna used to go, or Dorennath had, actually the experience will remain same. It will never change for any other person who will go to Nirvikalpa Samadhi as they had experienced, or our ancient sages or any other spiritual person had. So that is most important. Physics and chemistry, that means the secular sciences actually that does not enjoy that type of what is called, that does not guarantee that they will be permanent the way spiritual truths are. This is what is called spiritual truths by experimentation. When they are verified, this verification is not only permanent, and it has remained in the previous time as it is today, and it is the same. But in scientific truths, actually, will never be like that. One saying is coming to my mind, as you know, Hume has said that, well, all scientific truths are what is called statistical truths. Those who are in science, you know that all the truths are like that. That means you have to experiment, and after charting the experiment, a result of the experience, you find that truth. That means you say this is the law that is abiding, but it is not really perfectly truth in every case. It is like that. So naturally, scientific truths are approximate truth, as you know that it is not perfect, but it is approximation. So all scientific truths are approximation, but it works for us because we are not, in many places, we are not very particular about the what is called fineness, but spiritual truths are absolute truth. That means there is no change in the ever change in this truth. That's Swami Vivekananda is saying that can be found out by scientific method. Scientific method means practice of discipline. In Raja Yoga, the introduction of Raja Yoga, Swami Vivekananda said that, well, before doing the experiment, if you say they are really not true, that is what is called that is not reasonable. That is not really commonsensical. Also, you must experiment and find out that they are not really true. Then actually you claim that these religious truths or mystical truths are really wrong. But without doing that, if you say that they are wrong or we don't need them, that is not really acceptable. So in this way, we see that Swami Vivekananda has very emphatically says that about the what is called religion. Human beings cannot really live without religion, and definitely without religion, the society will become a brute. Brute, that means a beast of the what is called forest. In that way, our character will be completely destroyed. That has happened and also happening. That means those who have no religion, and in the history also you see the persons who have led or proclaimed in their societies or in their country, they are mostly seekers of sense enjoyments, and naturally a lot of conflicts, especially in this country also you see that a lot of what is called violence and all those things are there because the religion is not really practiced in the proper sense. Proper sense means, that means we have just going to the church makes a man religious to some extent, but it is not the whole of the religion. That is the point. So more we practice appropriately, more we experiment as a religion, then we shall be convinced about its what is called benefit, and also find out the truth behind the religion. So we cannot really live without religion. Humanity cannot live without religion, and that will be, if somebody thinks that it will be possible in future, so that will be disastrous. But it will not happen, because as we know, God himself incarnates as human being to revive a religion. So religion will stay forever, though in practice it may decline, or it may increase in practice. There might be wavy curve in the practice of religion, but one cannot really relinquish a religion forever. It will not be possible. This Wednesday, because we are celebrating Swamiji's birthday on Tuesday, I shall not give the Raja Yoga class. It will be too much for consecutive 2 days for devotees. Then Ishwadhananda will continue his class on Zoom on Narada's Bhakti Sutra aphorism on devotion, and it will be followed by guided meditation from 7 to 7:30 p.m. Excuse me. Then Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, that discourse will be continued on Saturday, and in the evening of Saturday. Next Sunday, I shall give a talk, Serve with Devotion, that is on January 30th. And as I told you, we shall celebrate Swamiji's birthday on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. and it will be on YouTube only. We have suspended in-person service because the surge of Omicron, and it is receding, but soon we hope that we shall be able to have in-person service with COVID protocol. Ishwadhananda has decided that he will not give talks, Sunday talks, till the in-person service starts. That is his choice. Om madhuvatarithayate madhuksharanti sindhavaha madhi irno santoshadhihi madhunakta mutoshasi madhumat parthivagam rachaha madhudaurastana pita madhumarna vanaspatihi madhumagangastu surjaha madhirgavo bhavantunah Om Madhu, Madhu, Madhu. Sweet by the winds and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the earths and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us be the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessings. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us be the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us be the shining sun. Sweet unto us be the all living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you, Swami
Thank
Ji.
you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Okay, have a good day.
See you next week.